This is Michael Coffey, pastor of First English Lutheran Church. This is another Tiny Desk sermon, an impromptu look at the text coming up for this Sunday. This Sunday will be October 1st, and the texts are from lectionary 26, which is proper 21. I'm going to focus on the gospel reading, which is from Matthew 21. When Jesus entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to him as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things, and who gave you this authority?" Jesus said to them, "I will also ask you one question, and if you tell me the answer, then I will also tell you by what authority I do these things. Did the baptism of John come from heaven, or was it of human origin?" And they argued with one another, "If we say from heaven, he will say to us, 'Why then did you not believe him?' But if we say of human origin, we are afraid of the crowd, for all regard John as a prophet." So they answered Jesus, "We do not know." And he said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things. What do you think? A man had 2 sons. He went to the first and said, 'Son, go and work in the vineyard today.' He answered, 'I will not.' But later he changed his mind and went. The father went to the second and said the same, and he answered, 'I go, sir.' But he did not go. Which of the 2 did the will of his father?" They said, "The first." Jesus said to them, "Truly I tell you, the tax collectors and the prostitutes are going into the kingdom of God ahead of you. For John came to you in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him. But the tax collectors and the prostitutes believed him, and even after you saw it, you did not change your minds and believe him." This is one of the increasing conflicts that Jesus has with the Pharisees and religious authorities near the end of Matthew's gospel. It just escalates until we get to the end of the story. In this one, there's a conflict over who is Jesus and what authority does he have. And in one of his most clever exchanges, which I love, he refuses to answer the question. He puts them on the spot, and since they won't answer his question, he won't answer theirs. And I love the cleverness of that. And then he turns the tables on him, and he says, "Well, okay, 2 sons. One says, 'Yes, I'll do your will, Father,' but doesn't do it. And one says, 'No.' And then he turns around and does it." This makes me think a lot about different approaches we have to Christian faith over the centuries, particularly the idea that if we say the right things, but we don't live out the faith, that somehow that's good enough. Or if we don't subscribe to the correct beliefs or say the right things up front, but then live out a life of following Christ through loving our neighbor and serving those in need and seeking justice in the world, that somehow that's not good enough. Jesus turns all that on its head in this little parable and challenges us to rethink. We'll answer that later. To rethink what is the defining characteristic of Christian faith. Is it a belief system, or is it an action system? And we've often shaped Christian faith as a set of beliefs, and the way you help somebody become Christian is you teach them the right beliefs. Maybe the way we shape people to be Christ-like is to lead them in a path of right actions. How to love your neighbor, how to serve the poor, how to seek justice for others, how to live simply in a world that encourages constant consumption. In the book of Acts, the early Christian movement, and I like that word movement, is called the Way. And it seems to be that the defining thing about the church was people who lived the way of Jesus. Now, they certainly believed things about Jesus, but they were exhibiting that belief through the way they lived. In the book of James, which is maligned by Martin Luther and some Lutherans, but a book that I love, James says right near the beginning, "Be doers of the word and not hearers only." If you're only hearers, you're deceiving yourself. You're only really just kind of being concerned about yourself. But do the word, do the gospel, live it out. So I wonder how we are called today to be people of an active faith, doers of the word, people who, whether we may be saying yes or no to certain things about the Christian faith, but are striving to love our neighbor, to help those in need, to seek justice for the vulnerable, and to follow Jesus in the way of the cross. If we focus on that, we might find more unity, and we might find a more convincing witness to what this good news is. Peace to all.